queens? Welcome to Black Queens Uncut. Grab your wine, your vape, or whatever you need to relax so we can get into this queen chat. I'm Monique Lovelace. Queens, introduce yourselves.
Hey guys, what's up? It's Kiki Boom Boom.
What up, guys? TK Trinidad.
And I'm super excited because we have one of my really good long-term friends here. She's a corporate accountant, a finance geek, independent content creator and executive producer, a budding e-commerce entrepreneur, and she's also been a former 2012 Miss Maryland beauty queen. And Beyonce is her spirit animal.
Yes,
Welcome,
she is.
Tiffany Lee Parker. Hey,
Hi. Hi, ladies. Hi. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes.
yes, we are so excited to have you because today we're going to be talking about getting into this bag for 2021.
Yes.
Okay.
Securing it.
Yes.
Lock and key.
Mhm.
Amen. So I'm super excited to get into this topic because I feel like with Black women becoming the number one entrepreneurs and we're really enrolling into colleges, we're really taking reign of our bag, of our manifesting the lives that we want.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's so motivating. And so I think this is a great topic to talk about finances, investing, loving on yourself with pampering and luxury.
Absolutely.
So let's just jump into this episode. So talking about this is an opening question I wanted to ask because I feel like it's something that we don't talk about enough
Mm-hmm.
or we don't
Absolutely.
discuss with our friends because we've always
Mm-hmm.
found it so taboo.
Yes.
So ladies, talking about money and finances with others, do you do it and why? If not, or if so, why or why not?
Okay. Do you want me to kick it off? Sorry. Go
You can
ahead.
kick
No,
it
no,
off,
no.
girl. Go
Tiffany, you kick it off. You're the guest.
I think that's such a great opening question. And then just for some context, like we don't historically in our communities talk about money enough. I think that this generation X and millennials and forward are definitely more open about their finances. But I remember being a little girl, like you don't even want to ask somebody how much they pay for a car. It's like get out their business, or it's for grown folks, or just you don't want to pry, but honestly, me going into corporate America, me even taking the time to start to read more books about women and financial independence. One of the first pieces of advice that they say is, as a woman, you should be asking people about like salary history, financial security, because what happens is we as women already, we make 62 cents to the dollar of every man, right? So a lot of us go into these situations when we take a job, not even negotiating our salary. So whatever they throw out first is what we accept. And it's not until you've been in a position for a long time, you're like, well, hey, I do feel like this bag is a little shorter than what it should be when I look at my male counterparts. And you start having those conversations that you see that, okay, I should have asked for this. So I definitely think now we live in a time where it's more opportunity to talk about it. And it's still a place of hesitation, but you do have to get more comfortable with that. And I say even myself and my husband, like we didn't used to talk about money as much as we do now. And now it's more like, okay, well, this is where we are. We're a partnership. And that has made me, and I think us just more draw closer together.
Right. I definitely agree. And this is weird. I know this is about to sound weird. And it may not sound weird. It's probably just needs to be said. But I have friends that are, I will say, white, because it doesn't necessarily have to be white, or but I have friends that are white, and my white friends are women, and they have no problem with discussing money. I'll be like, hey, how much do you make? And they'll automatically be like, oh, I make this and that. And if I, but I did this. And then when I went here and I got this, but then I went and negotiated this, and they have no problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
But when I ask my Black friends how much you make, it's all like, oh, I don't want to discuss that. But I think it needs to be discussed, because to me, it's like, if we know what each other is making, we do feel more comfortable going into these rooms and negotiating. It has nothing personally to do with your finances. I'm not counting your bank account. I don't care about that. I'm counting mine. And if you can get more coin than me, or if you're not, what are these things that we can come together and do, and to feel comfortable in going into these rooms to negotiate what we're really worth, or
Mm-hmm.
what we really feel like we should be getting, because we don't. Like you said, Tiff, I feel like a lot of the times when I first got a lot of my corporate jobs, I just took what they gave me. And then when that check rolled in, I was like, I would put way too much work.
Right. I work way too hard. Yeah.
And so then when my work just falls off, they're like, yo, what happened? Because you were doing so well. And I'm just like, yo, I'm not getting paid enough. I'm not getting paid. If I can't survive, or if I can't pay for certain things, there is no reason for me to be coming here. And because I'm wasting more time than I am making up for, because my time is money, no matter what. That's our trade. That's our barter.
Yeah.
And I feel like and I'll just say for my experience, but I mean, Tiff, you are one that I have talked to about, because, you are in this space, but a lot of my Black female friends do not they feel like it's so taboo to be like, to discuss how much we make, and, what I'm making or whatever. And it could also be a thing of just maybe being a little like, damn, I don't make a lot. So I feel kind of nervous to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, if you're talking to somebody about it that could have leverage, that could be like, yo, you need to walk in that room and ask them for this, because that's what you're worth. Or here's some other things that I know you could do that you could be making way more money. Because like I said, my white girlfriends, they will tell, like, I know how much they pay for their home. I know what's in their bank account. And it's just kind of like, oh, wow, okay, great. Because now I know what I'm worth. What you have is over there, and you're getting this. So I know what I need to walk in this room and ask for, and why I should ask for this. So that's my thoughts on it, ladies. Sorry, I kind of took a long with a breath, but
No,
ladies,
not at all.
what's your thoughts on it? Like, talking about money and finances with others, why is it taboo, and do you do it, or are you in that category where you don't do it?
I mean, I understand why, Black people are very paranoid, because like, I think it's easier for white people to say, I make this much, because historically they've always been in a good place, most of them, where they are not ashamed to say, oh, I make this much, or I have this job, and I didn't need to go to X, Y, and Z. Where I think as Black folks, a lot of us are now coming into this position where it's like, damn, a lot of us are starting to see what it's like to have a full bank account, or we're starting to see, oh, we can get that loan for our business. And I think also too, Black people, sometimes we're paranoid sometimes, and not ashamed, but I think sometimes when we talk to each other, we just don't want each other to judge each other. Because, we do come from that community where someone might be like, damn, so I think that's why Black people are so afraid to be like, yeah, girl, I make this much, or yeah, I live at home, or yeah, I don't have a job. Because I think we're afraid of like being judged by our own people. We're white people, they don't got that problem. For me, I never really liked to talk about money. I've never liked to talk about it, because I felt like I was in my own situation. But now as I'm getting older, I do like to have those conversations, because like Monique said, like it could be helpful. Like me and Monique had a conversation, and I was just talking to her like, yeah, I really want to get my credit together. And she gave me a bunch of different sources. She was like, girl, download this app, go here, do this. And I found that to be so helpful. And had I not said anything, I still would probably be over here struggling, because I'm too prideful to be like, yo, the struggle is real. The bank account ain't looking like how it is, because I have student loans. So I think it is okay to talk to your peers and your counterparts and say, hey, how's the situation working for you? Or what was it? What's the sources that you use? So I'm open to talking about it now, because I'm like, help me, please. I'm not ashamed. Give me the tools and the resources. So yeah, I do think it's important now.
Grandma always said, closed mouth don't get fed. So
okay,
Amen.
That part.
Okay, you're gonna be hungry, not speaking up.
Amen.
Yeah, it's like I think for my family in particular, it's kind of one of those things where it's like if you know, so for instance, like my parents came to or went to Canada as immigrants. So anytime you leave, everybody else back home thinks you're balling. So when my mom got a house and they got a car and they got all that, so then like I was kind of raised that we don't talk about that stuff to the point where it's just safer not to tell your children because then they won't be asked these questions. So, it's one of those things where little things I saw, but I wasn't directly taught like, okay, well, other than, okay, savings account, here's a bank, make sure everything like other than kind of the basics, which might not be the basics to other individuals. But I find now I'm really kind of looking at that and to the point that even on dates, like the guy who's like, oh, yo, what's your credit score? I'm like into that guy because now we can have a discussion. So like those things, like then I know you're on top of your game. It might not be the best, but at least you know what it is. Because then if you're a gentleman calling, you don't know your credit score. I'm like, yeah, this is not gonna go too far. It's not. So I
now,
think,
do you have? I'm sorry. Go
wait,
ahead.
wait,
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say. Now, do you ask that on the first date, or do you ease into it? I'm just
it's
curious.
so it's so hilarious because it's just been happening organically as of late, like where it'll be like in conversation. So it might be a first date, might be a second day, it just might be in a conversation, but it's not my intent. But I think that individuals, they're seeing that like, yo, this chick's like on this path and I'm on this path, so let me just see where it's at, because it's usually the guys who like have their shit together, which is like, all right, cool, let me see if she does too, because I think it's a vice versa. If as a female you don't know your credit score, or where you're trying to be, or what your like what your downfalls are to get you to a certain point, and what your game plan is, then it's like, yo, we supposed to have a family and kids, like at least have a game plan. Not saying for you to have an 800, but at least have a game plan. And I think it's the same thing. So it's been happening organically as of late, and I don't mind like sharing it and we have a discussion. So it's the same thing. And same thing, yeah, Monique has given me like tips and stuff like that, and it's really encouraged me. And then on top of that, having a business, that you're seeing so many different avenues and there's so many different ways to get like different loans, and just having that conversation and asking, because like you're saying, closed mouth doesn't get fed. So I'm the one that always asks about a bunch of questions until you tell me to stop asking. I'm going to keep on asking.
For sure. That's the right way to do it.
I feel that.
Right. I don't know when. I think I've always kind of been into money because my mom is really like, she's the one who kind of put me on to Dave Ramsey. She's all about having a good credit score. She's all about the American dream, have a house, pay off your cars and stuff like that, and have good credit, which is really the reason why I didn't end up with student loans. I didn't end up with a degree, but because of other friends, I've been always, before I turned maybe 25, I was making over $50,000. So that was, I think it's always been kind of discussed for me in a way, and not in financial, like this is the breakdown of things, but there would be times where my mom would be like, hey, this is how you do a budget, or this is how you do your bills. And so learning that, I think, just helped me to be able to talk about it too. So this brings me to my question. How are y'all, if y'all are, how are y'all are y'all doing a budget, and how are y'all doing it during the pandemic?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know who was going first. Yeah, for sure.
I guess I'll go first then. I kind of strayed off my budget a little bit because I knew there were, like, I just made a big purchase for a car. Well, technically it wasn't a big purchase, but it was my big purchase for my budget that I knew I wanted. So yes, I joined the Mercedes family again. Thank you, Jesus.
Mercedes-Benz.
Yes. In my budget. Okay. But I do follow Dave Ramsey I'm a big advocate of not having debt and being able to free up your cash so that you can do whatever you want. And really, you know, if you have to pick up extra jobs because you shouldn't use credit, your cash should always be your thing. So your job, you picking up an extra job is like having a credit card, but you never owe anybody. You never have to look at a pandemic and be like, oh shit, I'm in debt.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I owe all, you have all these collectors calling you. Now your credit score is going down because you owe this money that you don't have. And so, our last episode when she was talking about like credit card used to never be a thing, Dave Ramsey says that all the time, which is weird for us because I'm like, credit cards never used to be a thing. But it didn't. So I follow Dave Ramsey. I am working on, since we are pre-recording, I am working back getting on tighter for 2021. And I do recommend his method if you are more of a debt-free person. It's a lot more work.
Yeah.
If you like a debt-free life and you don't want to have to worry about things, then I think it is a great, it's a great, he's great. He's a little harsh, but that is definitely what I used during the pandemic. And that's my budget that I kind of go for anyway.
Yeah. And I want to speak to that too. I read Dave Ramsey's book maybe end of 2018. I started focusing more hardcore on having a budget when we were planning for a wedding. You know, I realized like, we wanted to have a certain type of small wedding, but I still wanted to be at a certain, level. So we really like pulled back and tightened up the purse strings. And I really became more budget conscious. Being in accounting and finance, that's a misconception. You can do accounting and finance for corporations all day, but it's a different kind of beast when you're doing it for yourself. So I've always been conscious of like, utilizing spreadsheets and seeing where I was financially and making sure my bills were paid on time and setting a loose budget. But I didn't get like hardcore, more focused until like late 2018, top of 2019. And to your point about Dave Ramsey, he's one of the people that I love. I love his I guess like thought process around debt. He is very hardcore. So it's one of those things. I feel like I see a lot of love-hate relationships with Dave Ramsey because I follow this hashtag debt-free community, which is a really good hashtag too, because they always drop little nuggets like in my feed to remind you to stay on course. But some people love him, some people hate him, right? Yes. But it's one of those things where like, as they say, like, keep the meat, throw away the bones. Take the hardcore foundation of saving your money. Remember those principles. Debt is, for me, credit card debt is one of those things where if you learn how to use it, it's your friend. A lot of times we misabuse it, we misuse it, and that is what gets us in trouble. One of his points that I feel like is something that a lot of people disagree with is like, and to each his own, but student loan debt. And, all of the Black community is not blessed enough to have parents that can pay for school or put them in positions where they can go to school. So it's a necessary evil for a lot of us. I think as Black people, we've had to look at education as our way out of poverty. But it's also about when you being able to control that debt as well. So when you're in a position to pay down your student loans, negotiate. Life is a negotiation. Hey, I can't do this. Why don't we do like a IDR program, which is based on your income, and they'll reduce the payment that you make. So it's a lot of flexible options there, but not to pivot too much away from your topic is that, budget is important. It's always important to, and even now in your banks, I have Bank of America, they have a budgeting feature built in. And that's like key for me. I can always go in at the end of the month and recategorize anything that's uncategorized. I can see where I'm spending. I can cut down. And I found that when I do pay attention to that, I see a significant savings. Whereas, sometimes it's like, hey, we here, what y'all want to do? So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Queens, what about you? Did y'all have a budget, or are y'all looking at y'all's finances differently during the pandemic?
Oh, sorry, TK.
Go, Kiki.
No, I just want to say I never really worked off of a budget before. I would just always try my hardest to not spend everything in my account and pay my bills. That was my budget, was like, pay your bills, make sure you have something like to get you through, and I put this in your savings. I do know a goal for me. Every time I got a paycheck, I would always take $20 to $100 and take it out and put it in my savings. That's just it doesn't matter where I worked, what I do. I always, doesn't matter what type of check it is, I always take it out and put it in my savings. So that has been a big help for me. And like Tiffany, I also have Bank of America, and they have definitely helped your girl, because there's that budgeting thing on there, and then there's different accounts. And where like when I was 18, 19, I abused credit cards because I got it in college, and I was like, oh, I'll just order this, or I'll just not understanding that you had to pay your credit card bill. Now in my 30s, I'm doing really good with my credit card, and I'm really proud of myself. I'm like, damn, because 18-year-old me was ordering late night food and thinking it was cute to order everybody else late night food and not pay it, or have an Old Navy Gap credit card and not understand it. So I've gotten better. And I will say in this pandemic, this year has been a horrible year for a lot of people. So I will say what has helped me this year, I've definitely been able to save a lot more, because one, we're not going anyplace. And two, I've gotten so much better with budgeting, because now I can see my money and I'm sitting down. I now do this thing where I'm like, okay, this day I'm going food shopping. This is what I'm going to buy. And shout out to things like Afterpay or Klarna and QuadPay, things that help you pay off certain things. So I will say 2020 has been a big change for me when it comes to financials, because I've been definitely better at budgeting and saving.
Yeah. Same thing. I think what I was always kind of on a loose budget, and then there's this lady, I don't know if you guys have her on in American television, but there was this lady, she had a finance show, and what she did is that she went into different homes and put everybody on like a cash budget, and they had different envelopes. I forgot the name of the show, but I don't even know if it's in the US. But I kind of was about that for a long period of time, until cash is not even like much of a thing anymore. But then we got a bookkeeper for the business, and seeing how we had to literally like keep track of every line and make sure that line balanced with the QuickBook line, balanced with everything else, really kind of educated me on every little thing, and what I was spending everything on. And same thing, I've been saving a lot. And another helpful thing too is having like a separate, so I do have Bank of America, but then I also have a Capital One 360. And I have them take out money every week, but I barely look at that, because it's just the savings, and I forget sometimes. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's like not even a lot, but on a weekly basis. And that's like, I have two savings account. One's an emergency, and then one is just like, we saving for the big things. So when the emergency happens and I'm like, I need some money, that's when I remember that account and I have money in that account. And another thing that's been really, really beneficial, I can't remember which motivational speaker was saying it. It might have been Gary Vee, but like using your networking, and to the point where things that you want, like before you even go and pay for it, look within your network to see who knows who, to see who knows who, in order to get those discounts, and or even to get something paid for, or even to get, and that's kind of been helping a lot, because a lot of the stuff that I've been wanting to get, or I'm looking for, all this other stuff, I'm just putting it out in the universe. And like stuff that you thought, okay, well, I have to drop $3,000 for that, it's just coming. So that's also beneficial too, like not necessarily like saving up for it, but then also doing the research, because there's always discounts or somebody floating around.
I do want to add this, and to just piggyback off of what TK is saying, automated savings. I have at least like this point maybe 6 different accounts. And I do that because another benefit right now, especially right now, if you guys do your research on high yield savings accounts, you can get almost 1% interest off of the money that you just have sitting there. But go ahead.
At American Express, because American Express had one of the highest high yield savings when I started, which was 1%. It was 1.3% or 1.2%. That was, and that helps accumulate your money. But when you put in your savings, and just for the viewers, but now because of the pandemic, they're down to 0.5%.
Yep. And you know what? Don't be afraid to put in your money. Pull your money and find another account. I will. I have shut down accounts. I have shut down. I was with PNC, for example, when they opened it up, when they sent me the introductory rate, it was 1%. 2 months later, it dropped down. I said, well, what's the point of me monitoring another bank account?
Yeah.
But automated savings, because like TK said, you don't really see it. It's before you know it, you saved up a grip, and you're like, oh wow, thank you. And sinking funds, I love sinking funds, and I will name them. That way, whenever I'm tempted to be like, oh, I got a little coin over here. No, I know that this is for my house. I know this is for my new car. I know this is for my nieces. Or any type of like shopping splurge, and that really helps me to stay on budget, keep that money there. And also, that emergency fund, you have one just for that too. That emergency fund, when things, get a little bit out of hand and you got to pull from it real quick. That is one key takeaway from Dave Ramsey. I think that's one of the best nuggets I learned. Always have that little hidden away, mattress money. So
right.
I got that too. Got that cash. Because you don't know if this world's going to shut down. In 1 second, what people are not talking about. Sorry to cut you off, Monique. Is the cyber attacks. Like, if everything shuts down and you can't access your bank account, you can't get no money. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Like,
that's true.
So I've been doing the same thing. I'll take money out just cash wise, and I'm putting it away. Don't come and find me because you won't be able to find it. But, it's just like you have to have that just in case too. Like that's like you almost need all these little pockets because you just don't know cyber wise something might happen, or cash wise we no longer take cash all of a sudden. Like, do you have other sources? Like it's a
right.
whole
And that the thing that she was talking about, the lady in the show, and I think it's Canada probably, that's basically Dave Ramsey. So he starts you out on envelopes, you gazelle. You have to have a automatic emergency fund of $1,000. And that's just to keep you, like he says, that's just to keep you nervous. Like, it's not to survive your whole life, because your main point is to work really hard to get out of debt, so that all of your net worth, all of your cash is free for you to use. Because a lot of times, no matter what, if we are borrowing, there's always an interest to it. So if we're paying that interest, we're coming out of pocket even more than if we just had the cash to negotiate. Cash always negotiates better too. So that when you have cash, you can really negotiate, because you'll go down somewhere and barter and be like, listen, I only got $5. You either
what
gonna
you
take
want to
this
do
$5 cash or you gonna wait for somebody to come and give you $10. Like,
right.
Nah, you gonna take this $5 cash that I have right in my hand.
Right.
And,
Another thing, go on, Monique.
Go ahead.
Another thing I had learned, I was listening to this podcast. They were saying essentially in this business, I think you could apply this to life too, is like the lady was pretty much saying that don't wait for your business to get down to a certain point to start asking for money, because the banks are not going to give you no money. And that kind of reminds me of a time where like I had gotten in a car accident, and like I just financial wise, I wasn't anticipating it. And I was like, yo, I had a bank account with you guys for this amount of time. I have a credit card. I have this, I have that. And they didn't want to give me the money. And I had a good paying job and everything. And I was just so heated because it's just one of those things. And then when you didn't need the money, my credit limit went up, all this other stuff. So it's like kind of like all those points, like kind of getting yourself into a certain scenario that you might ask for a loan, but don't ask for a loan when you need the loan. Almost like ask for a loan and just have it sitting there, because life happens. But to ask for it when you're in a down period, it's banks almost sense that, and they're like, nah, we ain't doing that. So that tip was really, really helpful business wise as well, because like we put ourselves in the business where it's just like, okay, cool, we can ask for this now. But if you got $10 in your account and you're like, we need money to buy more inventory, nah, we'll pass, we good. And it's one of those, that was like a really, really helpful tip, because it had me like looking, forecasting everything.
Right. And this kind of brings me into this, because you talked about business TK, which is something that me and you just talked about, Tiff, because then we can lead into investing. I feel like this invest. So when it comes to Black women in luxury, there's kind of like a problem with it. I feel like it's viewed it's the skewed view. And even though we have a pandemic, and I know that there are people are struggling, there are people, let's talk about this. There are people out there on the other side that are doing very well.
Yeah.
And I do see a lot of Black women doing very well in their business, in whatever they have going on. They're actually doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like we haven't normalized us doing well
Yep.
or loving a more higher net worth or luxurious life.
Exactly.
Your take on that, and ladies, let me know what you think too.
Well, I will definitely lead this this question because this is it's a hot topic for me. And I was telling Monique, I've always had a penchant for striving for luxurious experiences. I feel like if anyone is a deserving of it, it's Black women. This country was built on the backs of Black women. So why shouldn't we be the first in line to enjoy certain experiences, whether it's going to the spa for the day, whether it's, going on a nice shopping spree, if your bills are paid, it's all having everything prioritized. But I really got more passionate about the topic when, I don't know if you guys seen this, it's probably last month, when Cardi B, she posted all of her Hermes bags with her husband. And then, it was actually comments about her, either affording this luxury or quote unquote driving the brand down, whatever it was. But it just kind of hit me like, okay, everybody knows how hard Cardi has been working. So why is it even a question for you that if she wants to post her bags, why are we even questioning this? She's worked hard. She deserves to spoil herself. And then it just hit me like, even today, even after having the first Black first lady, that we are still questioning Black women having space in the luxury realm. So I think, for me, more so, that just kind of really grounded me in my position to like continue to normalize that, because we deserve it. We absolutely deserve it.
I definitely
Retweet.
agree. Right. Retweet. I definitely agree because like I said, yes, there are a lot of people down during the pandemic, but I do feel like there is a shift. And during the shift, I see a lot of Black women still doing very well during this pandemic, and it needs to be talked about because finances need to be talked about amongst us. I really feel that. Because that's helping get your sister's crown straight. Okay, that's the way that we do it, is finding wealth building. And you talk about this all the time. So wealth building should be everything, especially that we are becoming the number one entrepreneurs. And the reason why we're becoming number one entrepreneurs, because y'all ain't giving us the opportunity. So we're building our own tables. So I definitely feel like if you're building your own table, I do agree that luxury should be normalized for us. And when there are times like this, our finances don't need to be counted for because you're not doing that well. You need to be asking sis what she's doing so that she can give you the tips.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it's not a competition.
It's not at all. I don't feel like it's a competition. And I do definitely feel like we do that, especially when it comes to our finances, because that's what we've been ingrained to do. That's another way of society like pinpointing us at each other so that we don't get where we need to be, or you don't have multiple Black women who are millionaires and becoming billionaires. So I just feel like I think it should be normalized, and I think it's something that we should really be more into. And that's also a way to say, sis, listen, like Kiki said, like, let's talk about it, because you never know what resources I have here to give you so that you can, because I tell everybody this, when I get my house in Malibu, listen, you either gonna be up there with me next door, or I don't, I can't help you. I cannot drag you. I can only give you the resources that can help me get there. And if you don't want to do the work, then that's on you. But at the end of the day, if I want to express myself through a nice house and a beautiful bag and like some, shoes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I feel like a different topic would be the designers. That's a different topic because I'm
Yeah.
fashion.
Yeah.
So designer choice, yes, I have a problem with that just because I've been in fashion for so long and I've dealt with those designers and some of the things that they say about us is not, I
Yeah.
wouldn't spend my money with them at all.
Yeah. No, I agree with you.
And so I get that part, but when it comes to like normalizing luxury, that's a part of us showing off our finances and that we did work hard to get where we are. We did build our table to get where we are. So I
Mm-hmm.
think that it is something that we need to continue to really work hard in being okay with and normalizing and checking sis on the side. Like, hey, if she want to put her bag out there, she worked hard for that bag.
I have a story to tell, and not to cut off anybody else, but I remember being, I would have to be probably 18. I had just finished high school, and I went out with some girlfriends, and we had to stop at a gas station. And I remember it was this lady that pulled up, and she was much older than us, but she pulled up in this cute little 2-seater Mercedes. She hopped out with her little fur mink on. Okay, she, had pulled her cash out her Gucci bag, and she pumped her gas, and I was like, Queen. Like that to me was like this. I was like, that's a fast forward to where I want to be. That was aspirational for me. She didn't represent struggle, which is what you see a lot, especially, in the 90s, the 2000s, you've seen that for us. But to see like, her hair was done, she was just fly. And I'm like, wow, like that, that's how I see myself. That's how I hold myself, so that became a representation for me. And I think that, to your point, Monique, seeing more women like that, I get life off of that. When I walk into a room and all the girls looking cute, it's like, wow, yes, this is my home. These are my spirit animals right here, so yeah, I just wanted to add that to the story.
I always think of like Will Smith when he was talking about like a poor man's mentality. I think the issue is like why a lot of people are coming for Cardi was because there's a lot of us that are like, it's like we want these things and we want to kind of be wealthy, but to get yourself mentally past that, like having faith and then have the doubt. And I think because of slavery and because of, all the things that have been happening to us, and because, we didn't grow up seeing the kings and the queens and all this stuff that was natural to us, there's a lot of us that look at it and like, okay, yeah, well, she's doing that, but there's no way she's rich. She's using all the credit card money, or she's doing this, she's doing that, where it's like we have seen Cardi work hard, and Cardi apparently, well, we don't know what's in her bag, but it looks like she's really smart about it. So she's gotten past that mindset of like, I don't deserve this.
I don't deserve it. There you go.
Yeah. Or I'm gonna get it by, cutting corners. And then, so I think a lot of us, we aspire to all those stuff, but I think deep down psychologically, because of everything that's happened to us, and everything that we have allowed the government to do and everything that the government has done to us unknowingly, we're at the point where we look at people like that. It's like, yeah, that's a dream. But then subconsciously you have that person like, yeah, that ain't gonna happen, because we don't see a lot of Black people doing that. Yeah. And we don't have the tools. It's just so many little things that are happening where it's like, yeah, if you work for it, you definitely deserve it. But then all the little psychological things that we have to deal with that people have no idea.
Yeah.
That it's just, it's insane.
Is that something that we all struggle with? And I'm asking myself that too. Do you guys struggle with that? Is that something that you guys struggle with as well?
Oh, yeah.
Like that mindset, just kind of like getting past that mindset of, oh, I deserve this. Like Kiki, you was just talking about it too in our last episode. Like, should I got to tell myself I deserve this? I deserve this.
I know for me, like, cause I'm all about like not being in people's business or their pockets. So I'm never the one, like if I see someone post their bag to be like, oh no, how did, like, I don't care. So I do find it weird that people, especially, no, I don't find it weird. I actually know why they bash Black women. And it's unfortunate because I've seen a young Black woman post her Tesla truck, and for days people were dragging this poor young girl. And she's like, I worked hard for this truck. And then when I see the same energy not given to like the Kardashians who may post 20 of their Hermes or Birkin bags, that pisses me off a little bit because it's like, have that. And it's our people that do it. So I'm like, have that same, like, why do they get a pass and no one bothers them? But when it comes to us, it's automatically like, oh, they don't deserve it. So I'm just always in that whole thing. But I know for me, something that I've been working on is shit, I'm starting to deserve it. Because in the past, I would say things like, maybe I don't. So lately, a new trend of mine, I've been going to the spa every week. I've been doing that since my birthday in November. And it's a treat myself type of thing. Because
I love it.
Because right now I can't afford a lot of things that I want to be able to afford, but I can't afford to get like a facial maybe once a month. Or I went to the spa recently for my B-day. I went for my cousins, and it's me taking an hour and spending time with myself and just making sure I feel and look good. So that's something that I've been pampering myself. So I do love seeing Black women in their bag, and this is our season. It's always been our season, but I love seeing more of it because, like all three of you ladies said, it's really motivating. And it's something that has motivated me where I'm like, oh, okay, like, yes. So I love seeing Black women with their businesses, their homes, their cars, their bags, shit, any and everything I love seeing. And I know there's some people, it's been a really, really hard time. But I just feel like the people who worked hard for it, and there's people who are still working for it. And I know sometimes you don't see a light at the end of the tunnel, but I do think when we see this representation, it is a motivation. You know what I'm saying? But don't look for the Cardis to give you the financial advice. That's not what she's here for. No. Like there's a Susie Orson, there's the guy that you guys were speaking of. Like, I just feel like people were like, how dare you? I'm like, she's not a financial guru. Stop looking at her. She is a rapper who's living her best life. And sometimes a lot of us, when we come from the slum, we're so not used to as a people having nice things. So sometimes coming from the slum, as soon as we get it, we ball out and we show off. That's just who we are as a people. So it pisses me off that people kiss the ass of certain people of non-color and let them glide through and let them be extravagant. But as soon as our women want to do it, it's she a gold digger, or that can't be hers, or somebody paid for it. And it's like, no, the women are out here killing it right now by themselves.
And I will say this to add to that. A lot of people don't realize this as well. Like, certain things are investment. As of right now, buying a Birkin bag is actually an investment because their stock is going up. So,
and it's a waiting list too. I didn't want to do the whole history on Hermes because I was pissed off that people were dragging her. So I was like, excuse my language, fuck the list. But it's a whole process.
So that's the thing. Like, if you like luxury, it's fine. But a lot of the times, if you like luxury, because a lot of companies think of Black people as liquid money. Liquid money means when we get our money, we immediately spend it. Right. So we have more going out than we do coming in. And as soon as we get paid. But if you start putting your money into investments or assets, which is like art, Jay-Z talks about it all the time. Basquiat is Basquiat is huge. And so just things like that, you can
jewelry, diamonds, assets. Things that appreciate.
You can pass down to like your grandkids.
Yes, heirlooms.
It's from like, the 60s and the Grace Kelly bag. These are things that you pass down because they're vintage.
They appreciate in value.
Yeah.
That's what having an asset is. If you buy it, it's still a part of your net worth because it is going to appreciate value. So we can still like luxurious things and buy them. Like, for instance, if you're buying that Tesla and you also bought a stock, because I like to buy stocks in what I purchase in. So if I bought my Mercedes, I'm also going to buy a Mercedes stock because not only do I own my car, but I also have a share in the business.
Ownership in the company.
Exactly. So if you like luxurious things, also look at the stocks. Tesla stocks right now are crazy. And then for them to split, when they had the split, you could get even more at lesser money. So even if you buy a Tesla, you buy into the stock, you can be luxurious and still be making money.
Right. Absolutely.
So I think because we don't understand wealth building in our communities, because we're not trained to, we're not educated to, we don't understand the things that are behind it as well.
Right.
Yeah. So I do want to answer this question. I think you said, do you feel bad about or guilty about luxury?
Yeah, like guilty sometimes.
No. I don't.
Mood.
No.
I will say this. This is really what drew me to Tiff. Me and Tiff have been friends for years now. But there are a lot of, and I'll just say it, there were a lot of people in my life because of where I came from. I'm a small town girl where it's really bad. Like my hometown is not the greatest. It's going through not only a pandemic, but it's going through a heroin pandemic. Like it's just everything. So where I came from, that's the mindset that I have to get out of. So surrounding my environment was also hard too, because you don't always meet, you kind of meet or attract who you are.
Yep.
And you attract those people, but it's like my best friend says, it's also who you accept. And when you don't look at yourself in a certain way, you're going to accept certain people. So when I met Tiff, I just knew, I was like, she's like my spirit animal. Why? Like, so we just kind of became friends. And I didn't know how it grew, but it grew. And I feel like with having her in my life, Tiff definitely, I mean, of course, when we met, I was styling Tiff. So I had already had my ability of having a business or doing big things, not in the mindset of like, oh, well, let me, because even my aunt was saying this. She wanted to buy a BMW, but she was like, yeah, everybody's talking about how they break down and da-da-da-da. And it's like, you know, Tiff pulled up in a new Mercedes and I was like, shit, I want one too. And everyone's like, go get a Mercedes because of this. And this is just an example. Don't get a Mercedes because they're going to break down. You're going to, it's money, da-da-da-da. I'm single. I don't have any kids. I am not attached.
Enjoy yourself.
Yeah. And I'm like, dang, I really want this. So I went out and bought it. And I was just like, okay. Well, I did have a junker at first. Everybody knows my little cruise, ESOS, was my little my little paid off baby.
That's right, paid off.
It started, right. It was my little paid off junker that Dave Ramsey talks about. And it really was one of those things where, I mean, it was a reliable car until it wasn't reliable. And I didn't have a choice because I would have drove ESOS until God knows when. I was whipping ESOS, okay? But when that time came and I didn't have a choice, I was just like, am I going to go back to this? Or do I want to like really, pamper and invest myself in and, feel good?
Yeah.
And so when I did that, I also bought looks on my Robinhood and also bought a stock too in Mercedes.
That
and I'm
part.
like, I'm not going to make choices that are luxury and not also be making money off of what my lifestyle is as well.
Yeah.
So I think that has to do a lot with it too, which brings me to this. Do y'all invest? And if so, where and how long and all the questions that come with that, do y'all invest? Whether it's investing in yourself with like seminars or trainings or whatever, do y'all invest?
So I do invest. I have a 401k and my company matches as well. So it's grown to, thankfully a healthy amount, because I'm looking forward to a nice luxurious retirement here in the island somewhere in my mansion with my staff and my kids and my grandkids. I also, one thing with the pandemic, it has opened up a lot of investment opportunities. We got really serious about investing in startups. So we invested in, I don't know if you guys heard of the Tulsa Real Estate Fund. I can't think of his name. His first name is Jay, maybe Morrison, but he did this whole movement of a trust fund where people actually pull their money into buying real estate. And I really liked his message. Yeah, I really liked his message. I like what he was representing. So we invested like $500 to help get that off the ground. And they just bought a multi-unit building. So, I'm looking forward to, being a part of that. There are other real estate funds too that, take a very minimal amount. Nico Real Estate is one of them. You can invest as little as $100 starting off with, and then keep adding to that. And then you invest in communities and they do the same thing, buy buildings and rehab them, and you share in a pool of the profits. Melanoid Exchange. And that I found that from buytheblock.com. and they're all about investing in Black startups. And then we did one niche, which is Miso Robotics, and they are a robotic and technology company, but one of their launching products is a robotic arm that is being placed in different restaurants. So sustainable technology. So, we did some side investments with that. I love startups. My husband is more, he loves like the stock market. I'm still learning. I'm a little nervous about doing that, but I have been, I know you ladies are probably on Clubhouse. I have been listening to this one club, Modern Black Girl, and they teach you how to invest. So they had a webinar this morning about like the basics of investing, learning about options, how to maneuver in this world. Because for me, I need to understand something before I jump into it. Right. So right now, that's the extent of my investing, but I do just constantly hearing about the message of, becoming a day trader or Forex or all these different opportunities where people are really capitalizing. As I become more comfortable with it, I do want to be more active in the stock market from that standpoint.
Yeah.
TK? It's the same. I've been doing, for me, it's one of those things where I want to get the base really kind of together. So my thing was really kind of the beauty about this pandemic. It's really kind of taught me a lot and forced me to look at certain things. And thankfully, I had a business already set up before then. And I've learned so much, but like through and I know there are other ways to kind of do the websites and stuff, but Shopify has a really great app called Compass, where they'll bring in, like Damon John came in and he had an amazing workshop that not only talked about business, but talked about finances and kind of getting both your personal and your business finances together. So that app has really, really been helping. And I always talk about this guy, Eric Thomas, as well. He has a multitude of stuff. He has Monday motivational stuff. He has Sunday church stuff, all this other stuff. So that's really been helping. And I had a financial advisor that I touched base with through my old pastor. So I've been reconnecting with him and we've been kind of working on a game plan. I also too have a 401k, some investments in the islands and stuff like that. So it's just literally trying to get the base together, because I find like a lot of people like, man, I'm investing in stocks, but it's like, yo, bro, like you're asking me for help with your rent money 2 months later. Like, come on, let's get everything, like, to me, like, let's get everything together first, where you're not worrying about it 6 months down the line, something happens, rent can't get paid, all this other stuff. So like, that to me is way more important than like, okay, well, I'm going to do Forex, but it's like, you're doing Forex, but like your car just broke down and you need some money for that. Like I see it happen all the time. So that's kind of for me when I see the Forex thing, and I've seen it blowing up in particularly the Black women community. I don't know. I think we should do a whole show on that, because there's opinions with that. And then also too, quickly going back to your question about like just seeing us in the wealth, it's one of those things psychologically it's a problem, because like, for instance, I had a lady, she bought 10 self-care Sunday packages at $60 a pop. And I was like, in my mind, I was already in her bag. It's like, man, maybe I should give her a discount. And something told me like, nah, don't give her a discount. Like, you're running a business and she knows how much it costs. And she asked for 10 and she paid for it. And it wasn't one of those things where it's like a business thing, but like my mind was already going in her bag thinking that she wouldn't be able to. It's just all these little things. And I literally had to that's something that I'm still working on, because it's like, well, why do you feel like that for somebody else that hit you up? It wasn't like you were trying to sell. So It's just all these little things that I think a lot of us in the community just don't want to face. And so the only thing that they can do is comment on Instagram on Cardi. So I think for 2021, I think a lot, like, we should all look at our finances. And if you're not looking at your finances, figure out what the fear is that you're not, because there's something behind all of that we're not getting to that point.
Right. And I definitely agree. We lost Kiki, so hopefully she comes back on. But to answer this question, but I definitely agree. I retweet all that you said. I think it's a mindset first. And I think for us to really build wealth and everybody say, oh, I want to be a millionaire, you have to have a plan. Like, yeah, faith without works is dead, y'all. So get that in your mind. Faith without works is dead. You can faith all day. But if you don't have a plan to get in control of your money, that's another reason why I really started on Dave Ramsey too, is because I felt so in control of my money, and feeling that way helped me save. Feeling that way helped me build more. Feeling that way was like, oh, I'm good. Like I can do this, I can do that. If I have, this, that, and the other, like I will, and even TK knows, like we'll go out and I'll be like, I'm on a budget, right? Because I could be saving in an area that I want something bigger. I may want a trip, or so that food at the time is not important to me because I may just want to go on and live my best lavish life on a trip. And I want to stay in control of my money. So
where the money reside.
Yes.
Where the money reside.
Right. So like I do, like you said, Tiff, I am on Clubhouse and I do go in those rooms. Like Damon John was actually just in a room, which was super dope because he was talking with John Lewis, which is also a podcast NFL player, I think he is. And they had a room where they was just talking about how to build and get investors and get angel investors on your projects and stuff. So it was kind of like a one-on-one Shark Tank at the moment. And it was super dope. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so bomb. So it really is one of those things where I feel like it helps. But for me to answer the question, I do invest. That's because first of all, you got to change your mindset. Second of all, you have to be completely out of debt. Do not be able to pay your rent, your car payment, whatever you got. Don't invest, because investment is not quick money. It's not at all. It's not quick money. It's not how you get a lot of passive money at first. It's like gambling. You don't want to go to Vegas. I know professional gamblers. You don't want to go to, and they will say this, you do not want to go to Vegas thinking you got $100 in your pocket and you about to double it. Nah. Like you're really crazy, because that should be extra money. That shouldn't be money that you're hoping that you can pay your bills with if you get money back. So
it's the same with lending people money. Don't plan to lend somebody some money. Like hopefully you get it back, but if you're banking on it, then don't lend it.
Don't give
anything. I have a friend like that. She always lends money and then expects to give it back. I'm like, girl, stop giving out money if that's not a money you expect to get back. So I do have, to answer the question, I do have a Roth Ira because I am an entrepreneur.
Self-employed.
Yes. So I have a Roth IRA. I also have I have 3 different savings. I have an emergency fund. I have my bigger savings whenever I decide to do whatever I want to do. And then I have another savings that helps me build with, if I have an important big event that I want to do, like say if I want to buy a house, or if I want to move, or if I want a vacation. So I have 3 different savings. I also have, I do have one credit card, just because I don't want to close it because I've had it. So it just doesn't make sense to close it now, but I have one credit card, and then I have multiple bank accounts just to stick with the envelope situation that Dave Ramsey talks about. So that helps divide my money. So I have one bill account. I do not take my bills out of my main account, because bills sometimes they be in debt just as much as everybody in America, and they will suck your account dry for no reason. You be calling trying to get your money back, like, why you take my money? So I don't fool with that no more. I have one account that's strictly for bills, one strictly for business stuff, and then one account where I do my main breakdowns, which is like personal clothing, the whole breakdown. And then I also invest in stocks. I have some cryptocurrency, like we just talked about. I have a Litecoin, and I also have some shares in other cryptocurrency. And then Investing is really hard. I just started on Robinhood, so I get what you're saying, Tiff. It's really hard to learn, but I like to ask guys a lot because guys are very financial. Like that's the first thought they go to is money. So I go to them when it comes to business and money because they give me the best advice. So I do have a couple of guys who have guided me on, you know, trading and doing stocks. I haven't really got into trading and stuff yet because it's hard. But I do have some stocks. Like I said, I have some Mercedes stocks because you can't just go in. It's not like Bitcoin or Litecoin. Cryptocurrency investing is different than truly investing because you have to buy multiple stocks of something for you to see a return. So if I'm buying a stock in a business, it has to be multiple stocks for me to really receive a return. But like these, I looking at it, it's like if you would have had manufacturers a long time ago, like GMC and stuff, and their stocks are like $48 or probably lower than, and then they rose up to the $48-$50, like you made good money.
Yeah, that's why I love startups. Because I have this something for me that feels like, okay, if I believe in a company now and they have something that's sustainable and they're offering a sustainable service, I love the idea of getting into the company on the ground floor. We purchased some in Jet Token, which is a private, it's like the Uber of Jet.
That too. Did y'all do the 99? Y'all did the 100?
We did that. Well, I did I do it? No, we did it together. Some I've done by myself, but we put some money into that because I feel like, you know, where COVID is going, people are going to want to travel more privately, more singularly, and have that luxury experience. So I don't know how I got on this, but yeah, girl.
We need an offline about that because I've been looking into that too, and I was going to immediately buy some, but I was kind of, I don't know. We need an offline about that, but
okay.
I definitely have stocks in fashion. I have stocks in Mercedes, and I have stocks in a couple of pharmaceuticals because they're actually startup pharmaceuticals. Because pharmaceuticals always make money. One of my cousins, when I first started doing it, he was telling me to start small, which was like things that people always need, like toilet paper brands or paper towel brands, because you know eventually they'll inch up. But once I kind of knew how to maneuver it, I did get Robinhood, so I do like my stocks off there because I was doing my stocks off of E-Trade, and I just couldn't get into it because I was like, I don't know what's like. It was just blowing my mind. So Robinhood is a little more broken down. Or for women, this one is for women by women, is Ellevest.
Okay.
Yeah, Ellevest is good. It's a good breakdown, but they do have like a membership, which is not a lot. I think it's like $5 a month or something like that. But for me to start, I just wanted to, start free so I can put all my money in and stuff. But I do have pharmaceuticals, Mercedes, fashion, because I am in fashion, and I do have one in tech, and it's a new startup tech too. It's more like AI because I've really been into AI, which is artificial intelligence. So yeah, but let me tell y'all, we could talk about finances all day. I get excited about it because I think it's wealth building, and I think it's something that our community doesn't talk about long enough. So Kiki, we'll give you the last little wrap up, and since you're back on now, I know you was having a little bit of trouble, but do you invest? And if so, kind of where do you invest in? Do you invest in yourself, or do you
I don't invest like the two things that don't really, financials have never really been my thing, like financial talk, and that's because maybe I wasn't taught correctly. So it's never been something that turned me on, I guess you can say. So as I'm getting older, I'm trying to learn how to do things better financially. And it's just some people who just couldn't do it. Like I know for me, I had student loans. I come from a situation where like, it was tougher for me to save because of like family situations. So I know for me now, I invest in myself. And that's what it looks like, is just paying my bills on time, try to get my credit better, and taking myself out at least once a week. And saving more. But no, I'm not like really into stocks or investments and stuff like that. But I do love hearing other people talk about it, because even now when you go on apps like Cash App, you will like, if you swipe over, you will see like Bitcoins now, or even someone like Meg the Stallion, she was giving out free Bitcoin. So I thought that was dope because there were people that were like, what the hell is this? So I love people and even like hearing you guys have this conversation is really motivating, because it's like, okay, this is something that, not that I never really thought of, but these are some things that I may or may not know. So the investment question is, I invest in myself.
Right. And that's always good. I invest in myself too. I like seminars and trainings. That's
Yeah.
another investment.
That's a form of investment.
Yes, that's a form of
I
investment.
try to give back as much as possible, like if I can. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
Right. And then yeah, that's a form of investment, is giving yourself seminars, trainings. Education is a form of investment, even if it's not a university. Classes, because I didn't get my degree. So even if it's not, and I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm a thriving entrepreneur at that. So you know, even if it's just investing in classes, or, you know, just educational trainings.
And I just want to add this too, girl. I mean, a degree does not guarantee you success. You have to constantly, education is a lifelong endeavor. Always be open to learn something new, because a lot of these people who have gotten comfortable with just having a degree are now very nervous in this new economy and this new ecosystem that we're in. So,
I mean, shit, for me, I'll give my age. I graduated 2007, and that's when we got the first taste of a horrible recession. So I know for me as a millennial, like, it's never been comfortable for like me or people in that. And it sucks, but I am kind of happy that the class of like 2007, 8, and even 6, unfortunately, we did have to get that taste. But it was a learning lesson, and it was a learning experience, like, to go through all of that and realize, like, just because you got a degree don't mean shit. And just because you that don't mean anything either.
Yeah. And to add to that, when I say comfortable, I mean, like, maybe I work in corporate America with a lot of older baby boomer, comfortable, you know, got their titles and degrees and are very intimidated by a younger generation coming in that are like, hey, you know, they're hungry go-getters, always taking a new class, always, you know, keeping that resume tight. So at that.
And that's what it is, just about being able to evolve. I feel like that's the only reason why I've been able to be as, you know, have some type of success that I do have, because it's just all about learning and educating yourself in every way that you can, and just in surrounding yourself by those type of people as well. That's super important, is your environment, because what they know will like rub off on you, because they're talking, like you say, Kiki, like, you're listening and now you're interested in you get more around the, you know, people that you're like, oh shit, I ain't know nothing about that. You're like, okay, well, let me get, and before you know it, it's flourished your bank account or your bag or whatever in your life, and you're like, dang, okay, I kind of like this. This is a new lifestyle.
Right.
So, yes, thank you we got to wrap up this episode, but thank you Tiff, for coming on.
Oh, absolutely.
This is something I feel like we could talk about all the time. Tiff is one of my people that I talk to about like finances, businesses, investing. Like, we always have these kind of like grown up conversations.
Absolutely.
That I love. So I feel like it's good to have that with your girls too, because
absolutely
y'all can like go in these rooms and be like, well, I'm negotiating this way because my girl got it over here, and this is what I want. And so I think it's so important. So thank you for coming on, Tiff.
Oh,
tell our Queendom family everywhere where they can find you.
Okay. Well, I'm not a social media guru like you ladies, but you can hit me on Instagram at TiffNicP, TiffNicP. Yeah, that's my Instagram, and you DM me, whatever. Follow back. I'll, you know, do all that good stuff. Yeah.
Right. Please tell them where they can find you.
You guys can find me on all social media at Kiki Boom Boom.
And you can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. Definitely go and follow the company at centerin.co. We have a whole bunch of stuff coming in. It's going to be like a whole love series for products and stuff like that. So definitely check that out. Centerin.co, Centerin.co on all social media.
And you can find me on IG at It's Monique Loveless. Usually I'm in Clubhouse now, so I don't know if you're there. Like, if you're there, I'm there. But yeah, you can follow me there, and make sure you follow us the podcast at Queens Uncut on all social media, and check out our YouTube channel at Black Queens Uncut. Also, check out our new website, www.blackqueensuncut.com. We have everything there. There's the blog there. You can listen to the episodes. You can do whatever you want there. Also join and donate. And if you want to sponsor us as well, because you want a beautiful little, you want us to talk about you and you want a beautiful logo at the corner, you can sponsor as well. So Queens, thank you so much. And thank you for tuning in. Make sure you listen to us every Wednesday on Apple, Anchor, or Spotify. We also have Google and any other place you need to go. We are there. But thank you for tuning in. Listen to us next Wednesday. Make sure you catch up. Thank you, Tiff. We're so glad to have you. And
thank you.
And welcome to the new year, 2021. Bye, Queen.